Captain Jason Miller sat in his chair on the bridge of the USS Defiance. The stars streaked past the windows as the ship moved through space. He was reading old reports from 300 years ago. The words on the screen told a story that every human child learned in school. It was the story of how aliens saved Earth. 300 years ago, humanity almost died. The enemy came from deep space. They called themselves the Krethix Swarm. They were not like anything humans had seen before. The Krethix were part machine and part living creature. They ate planets. They turned worlds into food for their young. Mars fell first. The red planet became a nightmare of Krethix eggs and larvae. Then they came for Earth. Humanity fought with everything they had. Nuclear weapons, kinetic strikes, chemical attacks. Nothing worked. The Krethix ships grew back their damaged parts. Their numbers kept growing. Earth's armies fell back. The oceans turned red with blood. Cities burned. 5 billion people died in the first month. Everyone knew the end was coming. Then the Valorans arrived. Jason looked at the old footage on his screen. The Valoran ships were beautiful. They looked like they were made of blue crystal. Light moved through them like water. The Valorans themselves had blue skin and large eyes. They were peaceful people. They had no reason to help humanity. Humans were just another young species facing extinction. But the Valorans came anyway. The Valoran fleet hit the Krethix like a storm. Their weapons cut through the biomechanical ships with ease. The Krethix tried to adapt, but the Valorans were too fast. In 3 weeks, the war was over. The Krethix were driven back into deep space. Earth was saved. The Valorans could have left right away. Instead, they stayed for 10 years. They helped humans rebuild. They showed humans how to travel faster than light. They taught humans about energy shields and advanced medicine. They shared their knowledge freely. When they finally left, their leader gave humanity one message. Grow strong, humans. The galaxy needs good hearts. Humanity never forgot what the Valorans did. Every human ship had a small blue crystal in the command center. It was a reminder, a promise. If the Valorans ever needed help, humanity would come. Jason touched the crystal on his console. It was smooth and warm under his fingers. He wondered if that day would ever come. Then his communications officer spoke. Linda Hayes turned from her station. Her face was white. "Captain, we have something. It is a distress signal. The encryption is Valoran." Jason felt his heart start beating faster. "Put it through." The message played on the main screen. The voice was broken and filled with static. "This is Valoran Prime. We are under attack. The Krethix have returned. They are different now, stronger. Our defenses are falling. Billions will die. If anyone can hear this, please. We need help." The bridge went silent. Every officer stared at the screen. Jason knew what they were thinking. The Krethix were back. The species that almost destroyed Earth had found the Valorans. The people who saved humanity were dying. Jason stood up. "Linda, send a response. Tell them we are coming. Then contact every human ship in this sector. Tell them about the distress call." His first officer, Greg Palmer, stepped forward. "Captain, we are 3 weeks away at maximum speed. Even if we push the engines to their limits. And we have not received orders from Earth Command. They need to authorize military action." Jason looked at Greg. He understood the concern. Going to war without orders could mean the end of his career. Court-martial, prison. But he also understood something else. Some debts could never be ignored. "We go anyway," Jason said. "If Earth Command wants to punish me later, they can. But I will not sit here while the Valorans die. They saved us. Now we save them." Greg nodded slowly. Then he smiled. "Yes, sir. I will set the course." The USS Defiance turned and jumped to faster than light speed. Behind them, messages were already spreading through human space. Every ship with a Valoran crystal received the news. Every captain remembered the old stories. Every human knew what the Valorans had done. On Earth, alarms started ringing in military command. Admiral Kate Morrison was in a meeting when the news arrived. She read the report twice. Then she stood up and walked out. Her staff followed her. "Where are we going?" one of them asked. "To the fleet," Kate said. "We are going to Valoran, Prime Admiral. We need authorization from the Council. There are procedures." Kate kept walking. "The Valorans did not wait for authorization when they saved us. We will not wait now." Across human space, the response was the same. Military ships changed course. Merchant vessels dumped their cargo and loaded weapons. Even small civilian ships started moving toward Valoran space. Nobody ordered them to go. Nobody needed to. The message spread from ship to ship. The Valorans need us. We are going. In the Galactic Council chambers, alarms also rang. The Council was a group of alien species that managed galactic law. They watched as hundreds of human ships started moving in the same direction. The insect-like Zathrians clicked their mandibles in concern. The gas cloud Nephilim pulsed with worry. Ambassador Chen stood before the Council. He was humanity's voice in galactic politics. The other ambassadors stared at him. "Why are your ships moving without authorization?" the Zathrian representative demanded. "The Council has not approved military action." Chen looked at them calmly. "The Valorans are under attack. We are going to help them. You cannot," the Nephilim whispered. "The Krethiks are too dangerous. If you fight them in Valoran space, you might draw them to other worlds. Many species could be at risk." "The Valorans took that risk for us," Chen replied. "We will take it for them." "You are one species," the Zathrian said. "The Krethiks number in the billions. You will be destroyed." Chen smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Then we die keeping our promise. The Valorans will know they did not die alone." The council chamber erupted in argument. Some species supported humanity. Others feared the consequences. But Chen was not listening anymore. He was thinking about his grandfather. The old man had survived the Krethiks' invasion of Earth. He used to tell stories about the day the Valoran ships arrived. How beautiful they looked against the burning sky. How they fought when they had no reason to fight. How they stayed when they could have left. Chen's grandfather made him promise something before he died. "If the Valorans ever need us, you go. You go even if it means your death." Because they came for us. Now that day had arrived. Humanity was keeping its promise. Admiral Kate Morrison walked into the emergency council meeting on Earth. The room was full of politicians and military leaders. They were all talking at once. She sat down and listened. They had been arguing for 2 hours. The politicians wanted to wait. They said humanity needed approval from the Galactic Council. They said jumping into a war could have consequences. They talked about trade agreements and diplomatic relations. They used big words and made long speeches. But Kate heard what they were really saying. They were afraid. One senator stood up. He was a tall man with gray hair. "Admiral Morrison," he said, "we understand the emotional response. The Valorans saved us. But we must think carefully. If we send our fleet to fight the Krethiks, we might lose. Our entire military could be destroyed. Then Earth would be defenseless." Kate looked at him. Her face showed nothing. "Senator," she said quietly, "do you know why the Valorans helped us 300 years ago?" The senator blinked. "Because they were a peaceful species. They believed in helping others." "No," Kate said. She stood up. "They helped us because it was right. They did not calculate the cost. They did not worry about consequences. They saw people dying and they acted. That is what civilized beings do." She looked around the room. Every person there avoided her eyes. "But this is not about civilization, is it? This is about fear. You are afraid the Krethiks will come for us next. You think if we stay quiet, they might leave us alone." The room went silent. Another council member spoke. He was younger. His voice was uncertain. "Admiral, is that not a valid concern? If we fight the Krethiks now, we reveal our military strength. They might target us afterward." Kate walked to the window. Outside, she could see Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful from orbit. "They already know about us," she said. "The Krethiks do not forget. They will come for Earth eventually. The only question is whether we face them alone or with allies beside us." She turned back to the council. "The Valorans stood with us when we had nothing. Now they are dying. If we abandon them, what does that make us? What kind of species turns its back on the people who saved them?" Nobody answered. Kate nodded. "I thought so. I am taking the 3rd Fleet to Valoran Prime. Anyone who wants to stop me can try. But you will have to shoot me first." She walked out. Her officers followed. Behind her, the council chamber erupted in shouts. But Kate did not look back. She had a fleet to gather. Across human space, other captains were making the same choice. Captain Ryan Foster commanded a merchant ship called the Horizon. He was carrying medical supplies to a colony world. When he heard about the Valoran distress call, he dumped the cargo in space. His crew thought he was crazy. "Captain, what are you doing?" his first mate asked. "That cargo is worth millions. The company will fire you." Ryan was converting the cargo hold into a medical bay. He was welding hospital beds to the floor. "Let them fire me," he said. "The Valorans need doctors. We are going, but we are not a warship. We have no weapons. We cannot fight the Krethix. Ryan stopped working. He looked at his crew. They were scared. He understood. Then we carry the wounded, he said. We save lives. The Valorans did not have to be warriors to save us. They just had to show up. The crew looked at each other. Then they started helping. Within hours, the horizon was a flying hospital. Ryan set course for Valoran Prime. Commander Lisa Stone led a patrol squadron near the outer colonies. She had 6 ships under her command, small vessels meant for protecting trade routes. When the message came through, she gathered her captains on video link. I am going to Valoran Prime, she told them. I am not ordering you to follow. This is not an official mission, but I am going. One by one, her captains nodded. We follow you, they said. All of us. Lisa felt tears in her eyes, but she blinked them away. Then let us go keep our promise. Even civilian ships joined. Personal yachts. Research vessels. Mining haulers. They had no weapons, but they came anyway. Some carried supplies. Others brought engineers. A few brought nothing but the willingness to help. In the Galactic Council, Ambassador Chen watched the other species argue. The insect Zathrians were clicking angrily. The gas Nephilim were pulsing in distress. The rock-like Gorians stood silent. Everyone had an opinion. Nobody wanted to act. This is madness, the Zathrian ambassador said. The humans are going to die. They will accomplish nothing except their own destruction. Chen stood up. Then they will die with honor. That is more than I can say for the rest of you. The chamber went quiet. The other ambassadors stared at him. Chen continued. 300 years ago, the Valorans asked for nothing when they saved us. They expected no payment, no favors. They helped because it was right. Today we have the chance to return that kindness, and all you can do is calculate risk. The Nephilim ambassador floated forward. Their voice was like wind through trees. Young human, you do not understand. The Krethix are not an enemy you fight. They are a force of nature. Like a storm or a plague. You cannot defeat them. You can only survive them. Chen looked at the gas cloud. With respect, Ambassador, you are wrong. The Valorans defeated them once. They can be beaten. They just need help. And if you fail, the Zathrian clicked. If the Krethix destroy your fleet, then what? You will have no military. Earth will be defenseless. Your entire species could end, Chen smiled. There was no joy in it. Then we end keeping our word. The Valorans saved us when we could not save ourselves. We will not abandon them now. If that means humanity dies, so be it. At least the galaxy will know we kept our promises. He walked toward the door. The Council is welcome to sit here and debate. Humanity has already decided. We are going to Valoran Prime, and we are going now. Behind him, the Council chamber fell silent. Some ambassadors looked ashamed. Others looked confused. A few looked angry. But Chen did not care. He had a ship to catch. The human fleet began to gather. Ships came from every corner of human space. The third fleet arrived first. Admiral Kate Morrison commanded 300 military vessels. Then the merchant ships came. Then the civilian volunteers. Then the patrol squadrons from the outer colonies. Kate watched her tactical screen fill with friendly contacts. Her tactical officer, Helen Price, was counting them. Admiral, we now have 784 ships. More are arriving every hour. Kate felt pride swell in her chest. How many are military vessels? About half. The rest are merchants, civilians, and converted cargo ships. Kate smiled. It did not matter. What mattered was that they came. Every ship here represented people who remembered. People who understood what the Valorans had done. People who refused to forget. All ships, Kate broadcast on the fleet channel. This is Admiral Morrison. You all know why we are here. The Valorans saved humanity 300 years ago. Today we return the favor. I will not lie to you. The enemy is strong. We might not survive this, but we will give the Valorans a chance. We will buy them time to evacuate. We will fight until our last ship falls silent, and the galaxy will know that humanity keeps its promises. Across the fleet, crews cheered. They knew the odds. They knew many of them would not come home. But they came anyway, because 300 years ago, blue-skinned aliens had come for humanity. Now it was humanity's turn. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed. They were heading toward Valoran Prime, toward battle, toward a debt that had to be repaid. Behind them, Earth watched and waited. The politicians stopped arguing. The council stopped debating. Everyone understood what was happening. Humanity was going to war. Not for conquest, not for resources, but for honor. And the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The USS Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light speed at the edge of Valoran space. Captain Jason Miller looked at the main screen and felt his heart sink. What he saw was worse than any nightmare. The space around Valoran Prime was filled with Krethix ships. They looked like insects made of metal and flesh. Each ship was covered in chitinous armor that grew back when damaged. The smaller ships were the size of buildings. The larger ones were the size of cities, and there were thousands of them. Tens of thousands. They blocked out the stars. Peter Grant was Jason's tactical officer. He was staring at his console with wide eyes. Captain, sensors are counting 4,200 Krethix capital ships. Smaller vessels number over 40,000. He paused. This is the largest Krethix force ever recorded. Jason gripped the arms of his chair. Where is the Valoran fleet? Scattered, Peter said. He brought up a tactical map. The defense fleet is broken into small groups. They are fighting, but they are losing. The Krethix are pushing toward the planet. Show me the planet, Jason ordered. The screen changed. Valoran Prime was a beautiful world. Blue oceans and green continents. Cities made of crystal that caught the light of their sun, but now smoke rose from those cities. Fires burned across the surface. Even from orbit, Jason could see the destruction. How many Valorans are on that planet? Jason asked quietly. 6 billion, Peter replied. Maybe more. The evacuation ships are trying to get people off-world, but the Krethix are targeting them. Jason watched as a Valoran transport exploded on his screen. Hundreds of lives gone in an instant. He thought about his grandmother. She had been a child during the Krethix invasion of Earth. She used to tell him about the evacuation, how the Valorans protected every human ship, how they never left anyone behind. Communications opened a channel to Admiral Morrison. Linda Hayes worked her console. Channel open, Sir Admiral, this is Captain Miller. We have arrived at Valoran Prime. The situation is worse than we thought. Admiral Kate Morrison's voice came through clear and strong. I see it, Captain. The rest of the fleet is arriving now. We are going in. Jason watched his sensors. Human ships were dropping out of faster-than-light speed all around him. The third fleet arrived in perfect formation. Then came the merchant vessels. Then the civilian ships. Within minutes, nearly 800 human ships surrounded the Defiance. All human vessels, this is Admiral Morrison. Her voice filled every bridge in the fleet. You all volunteered for this. You all knew the odds. The Krethix outnumber us 5-1. Maybe more. We are not here to win. We are here to buy time. Every Valoran we save justifies whatever happens to us. Jason felt his crew straighten in their seats. They were ready. Battle Formation Omega, Kate ordered. We are going straight through them. Target the ships attacking the evacuation convoy. Break their lines. Give the Valorans a chance to escape. The human fleet moved forward as one. They accelerated toward the Krethix swarm. Jason watched the distance close on his screen. 5,000 kilometers. 4,000. 3,000, all weapons charged, Peter reported. Targeting solutions locked. Fire at will, Jason said. The USS Defiance fired its main cannon. The weapon was something humanity had developed after studying Valoran technology. It compressed quantum singularities into projectile form. The shot hit a Krethix cruiser and the ship simply ceased to exist. A black hole formed where the ship had been. It pulled in 6 more Krethix vessels before collapsing. Across the fleet, other human ships opened fire. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams cut through Krethix armor. Railguns fired metal slugs at hypersonic speeds. The Krethix swarm lit up with explosions, but the Krethix fired back. Brace for impact, Peter shouted. The Defiance shook as Krethix weapons hit the shields. Biomechanical projectiles splashed against the energy barrier. Acid sprays ate at the hull. Living missiles tried to burrow through the armor. Shields at 60%, Linda reported. Hull temperature rising. Keep firing, Jason ordered. Do not stop. The battle became chaos. Human ships dove through the Krethix formation. The destroyer Vengeance launched clouds of hunter drones. Each drone was the size of a baseball but carried a fusion warhead. They spread through the swarm like angry bees. Thousands of small explosions lit up the darkness. Captain Amy Clark commanded the carrier Freedom. She launched her fighter wings into the battle. The small craft used gravity manipulation to throw Krethix ships into each other. They were fast and deadly. But the Krethix adapted quickly. Their bioships grew new weapons to target the fighters. We lost Red Squadron, Amy's flight controller reported. Blue Squadron is taking heavy damage. Launch Green Squadron, Amy ordered. Keep the pressure on them. Commander Paul Stevens led a frigate called the Resolute. His ship carried biological weapons. Humanity had spent centuries studying the Krethiks. They knew how the biomechanical ships worked. The Resolute fired canisters of engineered virus into the swarm. The virus attacked the organic parts of Krethic ships. Their armor began to dissolve. "It is working," Paul's science officer shouted. "The virus is spreading." Then a Krethix dreadnought targeted the Resolute. The massive ship fired a beam of concentrated bioenergy. It cut through the Resolute's shields like paper. The frigate broke apart. Paul and his crew died instantly. Jason watched the Resolute die on his screen. He had known Paul. They had served together years ago. Good man. Good captain. Gone, Defiance, this is Admiral Morrison. Push forward. The evacuation convoy is almost to the jump point. We need to hold for 10 more minutes. Jason looked at his tactical display. The human fleet had lost over 100 ships, but they had destroyed more than 1,000 Krethix vessels. And the Valoran evacuation ships were moving. Thousands of transports filled with civilians were fleeing toward safety. 10 minutes, Jason said to his crew. We hold for 10 minutes. The Krethix seemed to sense what was happening. They threw everything at the human fleet. Bioships larger than anything they had used before entered the battle. These were continent-sized vessels. Their weapons could destroy multiple ships with each shot. Kate Morrison watched from the bridge of her flagship, the Lexington. Her ship had taken terrible damage. Half her crew was dead. Fires burned on 3 decks. But she refused to retreat. All ships formed defensive sphere around the convoy, she ordered. Nothing gets through. The human fleet reorganized. Every ship moved to protect the fleeing Valorans. They formed a living shield between the convoy and the Krethix. Ships that ran out of missiles used their railguns. Ships that lost their railguns rammed Krethix vessels. Jason watched the destroyer Righteous accelerate to maximum speed. The ship was already dying. Its hull was breached in a dozen places. But Captain Claire Murphy pointed her ship at a Krethix dreadnought and did not slow down. The collision created an explosion visible across the entire battlefield. Both ships vanished in a ball of fire. Claire's last transmission came through Jason's radio. Tell my family I was where I needed to be. Shields at 20%, Linda reported. We have hull breaches on 8 decks. Life support is failing. Jason looked at the main screen. The Valoran convoy was at the jump point. The transports were beginning to jump away to safety. They were going to make it. Then something changed in the battle. The Krethix were learning. They always learned. Their ships began to adapt to human weapons. The quantum singularity rounds stopped working as well. The hunter drones could not find their targets. The biological weapons were less effective. But humanity was learning too. Engineers across the fleet were rewriting weapon programs in real time. They changed frequencies, adjusted payloads, developed new tactics. Humanity had spent 300 years preparing for war. The Krethix were strong, but humans were clever. Captain, new contacts, Peter suddenly said. His voice was strange. More ships are arriving. A lot of ships. Jason felt fear grip him. More Krethix? They could not handle more enemies. But then Peter smiled. Sir, they are not Krethix. They are council species. The Zathrians, the Nephilim, even the Gorians. They came. On the main screen, new fleets appeared. Insect ships with energy lances. Gas clouds that could warp reality. Rock creatures in living vessels. The Galactic Council had sent their militaries. All human vessels. This is Ambassador Chen. His voice came through on every channel. The Council voted. It was close, but they voted to help. The Valoran saved humanity. Today, the galaxy remembers what that means. The new fleets hit the Krethix from 3 different directions. The tide of battle began to shift. Jason felt hope for the first time since arriving. The battle had been going for 12 hours. Captain Jason Miller could barely remember what peace felt like. The bridge of the USS Defiance smelled like smoke and burned circuits. Emergency lights cast everything in red. Half his crew was dead, but they were still fighting. The Galactic Council fleets had changed everything. The insect-like Zathrians brought ships that fired focused energy beams. Their lances could cut through multiple Krethix vessels in a single shot. The gas cloud Nephilim had stranger weapons. Their ships could bend space itself. Krethix vessels would suddenly implode or tear apart as reality twisted around them. Even the mysterious Gorians had come, the rock-like beings piloted living ships grown from asteroids. These vessels were nearly indestructible. They crashed through the Krethix formation like battering rams. Nothing could stop them, but the Krethix were still fighting. For every ship they lost, more seemed to appear. Their biomechanical vessels adapted constantly. They learned from every attack. They evolved mid-battle. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Valoran High Council," Linda Hayes said from her damaged communications console. Blood ran down her face from a cut above her eye, but she ignored it. "Put it through," Jason ordered. The screen changed. A Valoran appeared. Her blue skin was pale with exhaustion. Her large eyes were filled with tears. She wore the robes of a council leader. "I am Theron," she said, "leader of the Valoran High Council. I am transmitting from an evacuation ship. We are safely away from the planet thanks to you." Jason felt relief wash through him. "How many did you save?" 5,800,000,000, Theron replied. Her voice broke. "Over 1 billion died before you arrived. Our cities are destroyed. Our home is burning. But because of you, because of humanity, our species will survive." "That is all that matters," Jason said quietly. "No," Theron said firmly. "What matters is that you came. 300 years ago, we saved your species because it was the right thing to do. We expected nothing in return. But you remembered. You crossed the galaxy to help us. You are dying for us. There are no words for what that means." Jason looked around his bridge. His crew was battered and exhausted, but they stood tall. "We owed you a debt," he said. "We always pay our debts." The transmission ended. Jason turned back to his tactical display. The battle continued. The human fleet was down to 500 ships, but the Krethix had lost thousands. The council fleets were pushing them back. Slowly, painfully, the swarm was breaking apart. Admiral Kate Morrison stood on what was left of the bridge of the Lexington. The flagship was dying. Most of the bridge crew was dead. Fires raged through the ship. But Kate refused to abandon her post. She watched the tactical displays and gave orders. "All ships concentrate fire on the Krethix command vessels," she ordered. "Target the largest bioships. If we kill their coordination, the swarm will scatter." Her surviving tactical officer, Helen Price, worked frantically at her console. "Admiral, I am marking targets now. But we do not have enough firepower. Those command ships are too heavily armored." "Then we find a way," Kate said. "We did not come this far to fail now." Across the fleet, human captains heard the order. They looked at their tactical displays. The Krethix command vessels were massive things. Each one was the size of a moon. Their armor was meters thick. Their shields could absorb incredible damage. But humanity had one advantage. They were willing to do whatever it took. Captain Ryan Foster commanded the converted hospital ship Horizon. His vessel had no weapons. It was filled with wounded from a dozen different species: humans, Valorans, Zathrians, Nephilim. His medical bay was overwhelmed, but Ryan had an idea. He opened a channel to Admiral Morrison. "Admiral, this is the Horizon. I have a plan, but you are not going to like it." "Tell me," Kate replied. "These command ships have powerful shields." "But shields have to let matter pass through at close range. Otherwise, the ship could not move. If I ram one at full speed, I will penetrate the shield. Then my fusion reactor will explode inside their defenses." Kate closed her eyes. "Ryan, your ship is full of wounded, I know," Ryan said quietly. "I have been transferring them to other vessels for the last hour. But there are still 200 patients aboard. Most cannot be moved. They are too badly hurt." Kate wanted to say no. She wanted to order Ryan to stand down. But she knew they needed this. The command ships had to die. "Ryan, you do not have to do this." "Yes, I do," Ryan replied. "The Valorans saved us when they had no reason to. These wounded are alive because we came. This is what we came here to do." Kate felt tears on her face, but her voice stayed steady. "It has been an honor serving with you, Captain Foster." "The honor was mine, Admiral." The Horizon turned toward the nearest Krethix command vessel. Ryan increased speed to maximum. His ship accelerated through the battle. Krethix weapons fired at him, but the Horizon was too fast, too committed. In the medical bay, the wounded understood what was happening. A Valoran nurse held the hand of a human soldier. A Zathrian doctor stood beside a Nephilim patient. They were scared, but they were not alone. They faced the end together. Ryan watched the command ship grow larger on his screen. He thought about his family, his wife, his children. He had recorded messages for them. He hoped they would understand why he did this. The Valorans would have done the same for us, he thought. This is right. The horizon hit the Krethix command ship at full speed. For a moment, the hospital vessel passed through the shield. Then the fusion reactor detonated. The explosion was like a small sun. It consumed the horizon and tore the Krethix command ship apart from the inside. Debris rained across the battlefield. Kate watched it happen. She wanted to scream, to cry, to rage against the unfairness, but she was an admiral. She had a fleet to command. Captain Foster gave his life. Do not let it be in vain. All ships target the other command vessels. Follow the horizon's example. More human ships turned toward suicide runs. Damaged vessels that were already dying. Ships that had expended their weapons. They became guided missiles. Each one took a Krethix command ship with them. Jason watched from the Defiance as the destroyer Courage rammed a command vessel. As the frigate Defiant dove into another. As the cruiser Liberty crashed into a third. Each explosion was a funeral pyre. Each one was a promise kept. The Krethix swarm began to fall apart. Without their command ships, the bio-vessels lost coordination. They started fighting individually instead of as a group. The Council fleets pressed their advantage. The Zathrian energy lances carved through disorganized formations. The Nephilim reality warps tore ships apart. The Gorian living vessels crushed everything in their path, but the cost was terrible. The human fleet was down to 300 ships. Over 40,000 humans were dead. The Lexington was falling apart around Admiral Morrison. Hull breaches spread through every deck. Life support was failing. Admiral, we need to abandon ship, Helen said urgently. The reactor is becoming unstable. Kate looked at her tactical display. The battle was almost over. The Krethix were fleeing. The Valorans were safe. Victory was close. Just a little longer, she said. The fleet needs a command ship, Admiral. Helen grabbed her arm. Kate, please. You have done enough. Let someone else finish this. Kate smiled at her tactical officer. She was young. She had a future ahead of her. You are right, Kate said. Helen, you have command. Get the crew to the escape pods. What about you? Someone needs to keep the ship together long enough for everyone to evacuate. That is my job. Now go. That is an order. Helen hesitated. Then she saluted. It has been an honor, Admiral. The crew began abandoning ship. Escape pods launched into space. Other vessels picked them up. Kate sat in the command chair and watched her fleet fight. She rerouted power to keep the Lexington alive just a little longer. She felt the ship shuddering around her. Felt the heat rising as the reactor moved toward critical. All human vessels, this is Admiral Morrison, she transmitted. You have all been magnificent. The Valorans are safe. The Krethix are broken. We did what we came here to do. I could not be prouder. The Lexington's reactor exploded. The flagship vanished in a sphere of white light. Kate Morrison died still sitting in her command chair. Still protecting her fleet. Still doing her duty. Across the human fleet, crews wept. But they kept fighting. For Kate, for Ryan, for Claire and Paul and all the others who had fallen. They fought until the last Krethix ship fled into deep space. Until Valoran space was clear. Until the promise was kept. When the battle finally ended, over 217 human ships were destroyed. 43,000 humans had died, but 6 billion Valorans had been saved. The debt had been repaid. Jason sat in his damaged bridge and looked at the casualty reports. So many names. So many friends. He touched the blue crystal on his console. The Valorans had given humanity this crystal as a reminder. A promise. Today humanity had kept that promise. The galaxy would never forget what happened here. 3 weeks had passed since the Battle of Valoran Prime. Captain Jason Miller stood in the ceremony hall of the Valoran evacuation fleet. The hall was makeshift, just a converted cargo bay with seats arranged in rows. But every seat was filled. Valorans, humans, Zathrians, Nephilim, Gorians. Every species that had fought at Valoran Prime sent representatives. Jason wore his dress uniform. The fabric felt strange after weeks in a combat suit. Around him, other human officers stood in similar uniforms. All of them had the same haunted look in their eyes. They had survived. So many others had not. The Valoran High Council entered the hall. Theron led them. The blue-skinned leader looked older than she had during the battle. Her face was lined with grief. But she walked tall. Behind her came the other council members. 12 Valorans representing what was left of their civilization. Theron stood at the front of the hall. She looked at the assembled crowd. When she spoke, her voice was transmitted to every ship in the fleet, to every Valoran refugee, to every species in the Galactic Council. 300 years ago, she began. My people faced a choice. We saw a young species facing extinction. The Krethic swarm was destroying their world. We could have done nothing. The galaxy is vast. Species die every day. It was not our responsibility. She paused, looked directly at the human officers. But we chose to help. We saved humanity because it was the right thing to do. We expected nothing in return. We asked for no payment, no alliance, no debt. We simply helped because that is what civilized beings do. Jason felt his throat tighten. He knew where this was going. 3 weeks ago, Theron continued, the Krethics returned. They came for us. Our defenses fell. Our cities burned. We were dying. We sent a distress call into the void. We did not know if anyone would come. We had saved many species over the centuries, but we had learned that gratitude is rare in the galaxy. Most species forget their debts quickly. A tear ran down Theron's blue cheek. But humanity remembered. When we needed help, when we were facing extinction, humanity came. They crossed the galaxy. They brought every ship they could gather, and they fought for us. She looked around the hall. 43,000 humans died at Valoran Prime. Over 200 ships were destroyed. They did this for a debt 3 centuries old. They did this when they had no obligation. They did this because it was right. Theron walked toward the human officers. Jason stood at attention. His heart pounded in his chest. There are no words in any language that can express what we feel, Theron said. Gratitude is too small a word. Debt is too cold. What humanity did goes beyond any calculation. You repaid us not because you owed us. You repaid us because of honor, because of friendship, because you are a species that keeps its promises. She stopped in front of Jason. Captain Miller, your ship was the first to arrive. You did not wait for orders. You did not calculate the risk. You simply came. On behalf of every Valoran who survived, thank you. Jason did not know what to say. He thought about his crew. The ones who died, the ones who would carry scars forever. We could not do anything else, he said finally. You saved us. We save you. That is what friends do. Theron smiled through her tears. Yes, that is exactly what friends do. The ceremony continued for hours. Every human officer was honored. Every ship was named. The list of the dead was read aloud. Each name echoed through the hall. Admiral Kate Morrison, Captain Ryan Foster, Captain Claire Murphy, Commander Paul Stevens, on and on. 43,000 names. 43,000 lives given for an old promise. When the ceremony ended, Theron asked to meet with the human survivors privately. Jason and 50 other captains gathered in a smaller room. The Valoran leader looked exhausted. I need you to understand something, she said. What happened at Valoran Prime will change the galaxy. Already other species are talking. Some see humanity's actions as noble. Others see them as dangerous. Why dangerous? Asked Commander Lisa Stone. She had lost 3 ships from her patrol squadron. Her face was hard. Theron chose her words carefully. Because you demonstrated that humanity is willing to fight. Not for resources. Not for territory. But for honor. For friendship. That terrifies some species. They wonder what else humanity might fight for. Good, Lisa said coldly. Let them be terrified. Maybe they will think twice before abandoning their allies. Theron nodded slowly. Perhaps. But you must understand. The galaxy has operated a certain way for thousands of years. Species form alliances based on mutual benefit. When the cost becomes too high, those alliances dissolve. It is practical, it is safe. What humanity did at Valoran Prime breaks that pattern. Jason leaned forward. Are you saying we should not have come? No, Theron said firmly. Never. I am saying that you have set a new standard. Other species will have to decide if they can meet it. If they can be the kind of allies humanity has proven to be. That choice will reshape galactic civilization. Back on Earth, the funerals were just beginning. Families gathered to mourn. Parents buried children. Children buried parents. Spouses said goodbye to loved ones they would never see again. Every city had memorial services. Every town had names to remember. But there was pride mixed with the grief. Pride that humanity had kept its word. Pride that when the Valorans needed help, humans had come. No one questioned whether it was worth it. The answer was obvious. Of course it was worth it. Honor always is. In the Galactic Council chambers, the debates raged. Ambassador Chen stood before the assembled species again. This time the atmosphere was different. The other ambassadors were not dismissive. They were cautious, respectful, even fearful. The Zathrian ambassador clicked forward. Humanity has proven itself in battle. Your weapons are formidable. Your willingness to sacrifice is unmatched. The question is, what will you do with that power? Chen looked at the insect-like being. We will do what we have always done. We will protect our friends, we will honor our debts, and we will defend those who cannot defend themselves. And who decides who needs defending, the Zathrian challenged. Will humanity appoint itself the protector of the galaxy? No, Chen replied. But we will not stand by when our friends are in danger. Any species that extends friendship to humanity will have our full support. Any species that threatens our friends will face our full strength. We are making this very clear. The Nephilim ambassador pulsed anxiously. You are threatening the balance of power. You are forcing other species to choose sides. We are not forcing anything, Chen said. We are simply being honest about who we are. The Valorans saved us 300 years ago. We repaid that debt. That is the kind of species we are. If other species find that threatening, perhaps they should examine their own values. The Gorian ambassador spoke. His voice was like grinding stone. Humanity has proven its worth. The Gorians respect strength and honor. We propose a formal alliance. Chen bowed respectfully. We would be honored. Other ambassadors began whispering among themselves. The implications were staggering. Humanity was forming alliances, building a coalition, changing the power structure of the galaxy, all because they refused to forget an old debt. On Valoran Prime, the work of rebuilding had begun. The planet was scarred, cities lay in ruins, billions had died. But the Valorans who remained were determined to rebuild, and they were not alone. Human engineers arrived to help. Construction ships, supply vessels, medical teams, they came without being asked. They simply showed up and started working. This is what friends do, they said. We help. The Valorans worked alongside the humans, blue-skinned aliens and pink-skinned humans laboring together, clearing rubble, rebuilding homes, planting crops. The work was hard and slow, but it was filled with hope. One day, a young Valoran child approached a human engineer. The engineer was a woman named Sarah Mitchell. She was helping rebuild a school. The child watched her work for a while. Then he asked a question. Why did you come? We saved you so long ago. Most of your people were not even alive then. Why did you remember? Sarah stopped working.
She knelt down to the child's level.
Because some debts cannot be measured in time, she said. Your people saved my species. They did it because it was right. We came to help you for the same reason. And also because you are our friends. Friends help each other, always. The child thought about this. Will you always be our friends? Sarah smiled. Always. That is what humanity does. We keep our promises forever. The child smiled back. Then we will keep our promises to you too. That exchange was recorded. It was broadcast across the galaxy. It became famous. Some species saw it as proof of humanity's nobility. Others saw it as propaganda. But everyone understood the message. Humanity meant what they said. They would stand by their friends no matter the cost. Jason stood on the bridge of the repaired USS Defiance. His ship had spent 3 weeks in dock getting fixed. New hull plating, new shields, new crew members to replace the ones who died. The ship looked almost new, but Jason could still smell the smoke. Still hear the alarms? The battle would stay with him forever. Linda Hayes approached him. She had a bandage over the cut on her forehead. Captain, we just received new orders. We are being assigned to patrol Valoran space. To help protect them while they rebuild, Jason nodded. How long is the assignment? Indefinite, Linda replied. Command says we stay as long as the Valorans need us. Jason looked at the blue crystal on his console. The reminder of an old promise. A promise that had been... 5 years had passed since the Battle of Valoran Prime. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Captain Jason Miller walked through the rebuilt streets of the Valoran capital city. The crystal towers rose into the sky once more. Gardens bloomed where ruins had stood. Children played in parks where bodies had once littered the ground. But the city was different now. Human-style buildings stood alongside Valoran crystal structures. Markets sold goods from both species. Schools taught both languages. The two civilizations had woven themselves together. What had started as gratitude had become genuine friendship. A Valoran shopkeeper called out to Jason as he passed. "Captain Miller, please come try our new dishes. We use human spices now. Very popular." Jason smiled and stopped. The shopkeeper was an elderly Valoran named Kresh. He had lost his entire family in the Krethix attack. But he had rebuilt. He had survived. "That is kind of you, Kresh. What do you recommend?" Kresh brought out a plate of food. It looked like traditional Valoran fare but smelled like Earth cuisine. "We call it Unity Stew. Valoran vegetables cooked with human techniques. It represents what we have become. Two species made stronger together." Jason tasted it. The flavor was surprising. "Different but good. This is excellent." Kresh beamed with pride. "Your people gave us more than military protection, Captain. You gave us hope. You showed us that we were not alone. That is worth more than any weapon." Jason paid for the meal and continued walking. Everywhere he looked, he saw evidence of the new friendship. Human teachers working in Valoran schools, Valoran doctors training at human hospitals, mixed crews on ships, joint research projects. The two species had become inseparable, but not everyone was happy about it. Back on Earth, Ambassador Chen sat in a tense meeting with representatives from the Zathrian collective. The insect-like aliens had come to express concerns. Their spokesperson clicked its mandibles nervously. "Ambassador," the Zathrian said, "we must discuss the Human-Valoran alliance. It has become too powerful, too influential. Other species are feeling pressured to join or be left behind." Chen leaned back in his chair. "We are not pressuring anyone. Species join because they want to, because they see the benefits of genuine friendship. But that is exactly the problem." The Zathrian clicked. "You have set a standard that most species cannot meet. You ask for absolute loyalty, complete commitment. Not every species can promise to die for their allies. We do not ask anyone to die," Chen replied calmly. "We ask for honesty, for genuine friendship. If that is too much, then those species should not seek alliance with us." The Zathrian shifted uncomfortably. "You do not understand how radical this is. For thousands of years, galactic civilization operated on mutual benefit. Trade agreements. Defense pacts with clear limits. No one expected anyone to sacrifice themselves for others. Now humanity has changed the rules." "We did not change the rules," Chen said. "We simply showed what real friendship looks like. If other species find that uncomfortable, that is their problem." After the Zathrians left, Chen's assistant approached. She was a young diplomat named Karen Price. "Sir, do you think we are being too rigid? Maybe we should compromise. Make it easier for species to ally with us." Chen shook his head. "The moment we compromise on this, Karen, we become like everyone else. What made the Valorans special was that they helped without expecting anything. What makes humanity special is that we remembered. If we start accepting half-hearted allies, we dilute what we stand for." Across the galaxy, other species watched nervously. The Human-Valoran alliance had grown into something unprecedented. 17 species had joined, not because of trade benefits or military strength, but because they genuinely believed in the alliance's values. They believed in honor, in keeping promises, in standing by friends no matter the cost. The alliance had teeth too. When the Krethix swarm tried to attack a minor species called the Plenari, the alliance responded immediately. 50 human and Valoran ships arrived within days. The Krethix fled without firing a shot. The message was clear. Touch our friends and face the consequences. This made some species nervous. The old Galactic Council was losing influence. Species were choosing sides. The galaxy was polarizing. Some saw this as dangerous. Others saw it as necessary. Commander Lisa Stone now commanded a joint human-Valoran task force. Her flagship was called the Unity. Half her crew was human. Half was Valoran. They patrolled the borders of Alliance space. They protected trade routes. They responded to distress calls. One day they received a strange signal. A species called the Drithani was requesting to join the Alliance. Lisa was skeptical. The Drithani had a reputation. They were traders, merchants. They cared about profit above all else. This did not match Alliance values. She brought the Drithani ambassador aboard. He was a reptilian creature with scales that changed color. He looked nervous. "Ambassador," Lisa said directly, "why does your species want to join? You have always operated on profit. Alliance membership requires genuine commitment to helping others." The Drithani ambassador's scales flickered through several colors. "You are correct, Commander. My species has always valued profit. But we have been watching. We saw what humanity did for the Valorans. We saw species working together not for gain but because it was right. And we realized something. We have been living wrong. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Living wrong? The ambassador nodded. We have spent centuries accumulating wealth. But what good is wealth if you have no true friends? What good is profit if no one will stand with you when danger comes? We watched the Battle of Valoran Prime. We saw humans die for an old debt, and we understood. That is what matters. Not credits, not trade, friendship, honor. We want to learn that, to become that. Lisa studied the ambassador carefully. This could be a trick, but his scales showed genuine emotion, fear, hope, determination. You understand what joining means? If any alliance member is attacked, you must help. Even if it costs everything. We understand, the ambassador said. And we accept. The Drithani are tired of being alone in a galaxy full of competitors. We want to be part of something greater. Lisa made her decision. Then welcome to the alliance. But know this. We will hold you to your promises. If you join and then abandon us, humanity will remember that too. The ambassador's scales turned a bright, happy blue. We will not abandon you, Commander. You have our word. The Drithani joined. So did other species. Some were warriors. Some were scientists. Some were artists. All of them joined because they wanted to be part of something meaningful, something that stood for more than profit or power. On Valoran Prime, Jason attended the 5th anniversary ceremony of the battle. The memorial had been completed. It was a massive crystal structure that reached toward the sky. Inside, the names of every human in Valoran who died were inscribed. 43,000 human names. 1,200,000,000 Valoran names. Each name was lit by a small light. Theron stood beside Jason. She was older now. Gray had appeared in her hair. But her eyes still held determination. Every year we gather here, she said quietly. Every year we remember. Not just the dead, but what they died for. Jason looked at the memorial. The lights looked like stars. They died so others could live. That is the highest purpose. Yes, Theron agreed. But they also died proving something. Proving that species can put honor above survival. That friendship can be stronger than fear. The galaxy needed that lesson. Did they learn it? Jason asked. Some did, Theron replied. Those who joined the alliance understand. Others still resist. They cling to the old ways, but every day more species see the truth. The truth that humanity and the Valorans discovered together. We are stronger together, not just militarily, but morally, spiritually. Together we are better than we could ever be apart. The ceremony began. Thousands attended, humans, Valorans, members of all Alliance species. They stood in silence as the names were read. As each name was spoken, its light in the memorial grew brighter for a moment. 43,000 moments of brightness. 1,200,000,000 moments. It took hours. When it ended, a Valoran child stepped forward. She was 6 years old. Born after the battle. She had never known the old world. Only the new one where humans and Valorans were inseparable friends. The child carried a flower. It was a hybrid. Part Valoran. Part Earth. Scientists from both species had created it together. It represented what they had built. Something new. Something that could only exist because two species chose friendship over fear. The child placed the flower at the base of the memorial. Then she spoke. Her voice was small but clear. We remember. We will always remember. And we will be worthy of your sacrifice. The crowd stood silent. Then as one, they repeated her words. We remember. We will always remember. And we will be worthy of your sacrifice. Jason felt tears on his face. He thought about Admiral Morrison, about Ryan Foster, about Claire Murphy and Paul Stevens and all the others. They had given everything, but they had not died for nothing. They had changed the galaxy. Later that night, Jason stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The rebuilt crystal towers glowed softly. Ships moved through the sky. Human ships, Valoran ships, ships from the 17 Alliance species, all moving together, all protecting each other. Linda Hayes joined him. She was his first officer now. She had stayed with the Defiance all these years. Beautiful, is it not? She said.